My phone.
Hello everyone, welcome to ixamBee. Very good morning to all of you and thanks for joining this session. Many of you ask me, okay, my name is Chandraprakash Joshi. Many of you don't know me, but many of you ask me, sir, why did you quit RBI? So that answer I have written on Quora, but I thought you because recently many people ask me again, so you can go to my answer on Quora. Today we have Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, who are going to answer your question because he has spent more than 3 decades with RBI. A student of English American literature, he was studying when he wrote RBI Grade B exam. So I will pass your questions to Dr. Sharma. But before I come to your question, from my side, I am also very curious to know why Dr. Sharma thought of joining RBI when he was doing his research. He was doing Ph.D. at IIT Kanpur, and before that also he studied at Hindu College, Delhi University, and he planned to join Central Bank of the country. So from English literature to Central Bank of the country. So Dr. Sharma, thank you very much for your time, and I am really happy to discuss with you. All of the students are here, and like to hear now from you how this interest in RBI came, and then we will come to your journey about your life and career in RBI. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, CP, and all the viewers. Interesting start, CP, you've made. Yes, it is a little strange that somebody who's doing PhD in literature, that also from IIT Kanpur, and then he decides to join the RBI. And it's a question which I have often been encountered with a number of times when I meet people, even in the interview sometimes, this question has come. So it's a little story that I can tell you all here. I was working on my thesis, which was on the Native American fiction, which is what we call as Red Indians, as you are called. But Red Indians is a term which is pejorative now, so we say Native Americans. So it was a very new topic and very interesting topic. But somehow, as it happens in all researches, there's a point of time when you are not on the best of terms with your guide. So it happened, I was in a similar situation. I was working and it was not taking any shape and the guide was sitting over my head. So I went to the post office to buy some stamps and I found my 2 colleagues doing PhD in economics and sociology. These guys had big packets and they were posting in the letterbox there. And I asked them, what is it? So they looked at me and said, no, it's not meant for you. I said, let me know what job you guys are applying for. So they said, well, it's RBI Grade B post and it has social and economic problems and you are a literature guy, so why should you, no, it's not really a job for you. But since, they said that particular word struck me as it's not for you, I thought, no, I must also apply for it. And let me try. So I didn't tell my guide, I quietly filled in the form. I think I had very little time. I just about made it to fill in the form. And then we appeared for the exam, and you will not believe. Of course, I did my preparation as everyone does, but then I had no idea about economics. And the guy who was doing economics was very confident, and we had a paper on social and economic problems, nothing to do with literature other than the essay writing. So these, when we had the question paper, the first 5 questions were on economics, which I was not very comfortable with. The next 5 questions were on sociological problems. I had no choice but to prepare for write those answers, and I knew them. I knew I could write those 5 answers. After the exam was over, we exchanged notes, and they said, I've given this graph, I've given that figure, I've given that data. I just looked around, I said, no, I had no data, no figures, I just answered these questions. But I wrote well. I told them I wrote well. That's all I know. And I would like to share with you that at the end of the day, those guys did not even get the call for the interview. But I'm very happy that they made it very good in life. Ultimately, they also did very well. One of them chose to be a professor at Hyderabad University. And he was my roommate also at one point of time. So that's how, when I got the interview call, I didn't even tell my guide about it. Because it was a decision of, from moving from literature to finance. But honestly, I'd had 3 years of honors, 2 years of masters, and almost 5 years of research. And I was up to this point as far as English was concerned. And I thought, okay, time to switch, challenge yourself, and make a move. So that's how I prepare for
Very,
the
very
IPL.
interesting journey. And for student, those who are not from economics, commerce, and finance background, so this is a strong message. Actually, I keep on repeating in all my sessions. I also don't come from economics or finance background. So this is again very interesting to know from you that you moved from English to RBI, but now students are also very much interested to know. I have already some very straight questions about the opportunities within the RBI, and also what we learn working with RBI, which can provide us other career opportunities. So I will come to that one by one. But before that, if you can summarize your long experience, more than 3 decades in RBI, joining as a Grade B officer and reaching to Chief General Manager. You were Regional Director in RBI and Executive Director in National Housing Bank. So, how overall career journey, overall work-life balance, what are the pain points? There must be many challenges also. So, if you can summarize for our students.
Okay, so it has been a long journey, more than 3 decades, almost 32 years, 33 years of being in the RBI, of which the 1.5 years I spent with, I was on deputation towards the end with the National Housing Bank as Executive Director. RBI has a Executive Director's post there for RBI CGM level post. So I joined in '84, and it has been a kind of a journey which has traveled through so many states. That's aside from the Reserve Bank as an institution, the physical journey of moving from one state to another state, getting exposed to different cultures, learning new languages, getting to meet people, and working in challenging environments. If you're posted in Guwahati, for example, the kind of challenges that you would face in Assam would be very different when you come to Ahmedabad, for example, later on. So I was, for example, personnel officer in Guwahati. I was personnel officer also in Ahmedabad, but they were very different situations. One was learning through from fire, you can say, and the other was, okay, put the kettle on the fire and move forward.
Right.
So this was one part. The second is you have worked under different kinds of people, under different sets of bosses. You have managed from Mazdoors in a vault to candidates in a classroom as a faculty in charge, to interacting with the chief secretary of a state, meeting the governor. I remember it was such an interesting session I had with Dr. Abraham Rajan when we were printing the new notes with his signature, and how we went to him and the excitement on his face. He's trying to write his the best signature that he can give us. The Hindi version, he made a spelling mistake in Hindi, and we told him, sir, this is dirgh u and not this one short. What do you want? The short one. So these are opportunities you get. You work with governors, deputy governors. You work with state government officials. You interact with the chief minister in Chhattisgarh. I met Dr. Raman Singh. I remember it was such a nice meeting. Very warm person that time. And at the same time, you have your own sets of people, your team that you move with.
Yeah.
So in a course of 32 years, I would have seen 7-8 centers, and you have a corner of each center somewhere in your heart. You carry with you.
Yes. Yes.
And you work in various departments in various capacities. Learning is immense.
Yeah. So how come this movement to NHB, sir? Because I understand NHB is an RBI institution actually, and in many places the office is also in RBI building. But how was this movement, and how was this experience at managing the NHB at the top level? And housing is a very large segment. It's a very big industry, and also it's a point of development also when we come to the affordable housing segment. So managing National Housing Bank as an ED, how was this experience, and Was this came to you because you opted for it, or RBI does these kind of placement its own?
No, RBI always, there's always deputation posts in various parts of the country. It could be with different organizations, it could be with the ministry, it could be with the banks. So you have so the government would advertise and look for people. So they would ask RBI that there is in NHB, for example, there are two EDs there. One is marked for the Reserve Bank because RBI was the 100%, it was a subsidiary of the Reserve Bank at that point of time, not today.
Right.
So when a post falls vacant, then it's a captive post for RBI, Chief General Manager level. So I was at that point of time in Raipur. I was in charge of RBI Raipur, and I thought it's time for me to move. And this was a new position. It was a new area. So you must constantly challenge yourself. You cannot be in your comfort zone always. That is my point that I'm trying to make. I had no exposure to housing. Yet, I thought before I retire, let me also try this out. And I applied for this post. And working in NHB was a totally different experience. I thought NHB was so different from RBI. Although it was RBI's baby, yet it was very, very, if I can say, sarkari in its outlook. Whereas RBI, I thought, was so independent, whatever you may say, but RBI's independence is there. Which I found, when I was in NHB, I used to miss that part.
Yes. So that is one element, and many people know it also, that they want to work with RBI because it has that balance of good professionalism, and at the same time, it's a government job, it's a public sector employment.
No, even NHB, for the matter, the job was very challenging and very good. Again, you got a lot of opportunities. You could go across the country. The PM had just launched the PMAY, the Awas Yojana, and I was my team, we were together into it, going from state to state, trying to get the data, trying to talk to people, trying to talk with state governments. It was very experiential in that sense. And I had some 8-9 departments reporting to me. So I was learning even when my career graph was now coming towards an end. So that's the best part of working in NHB, and a nice set of environment, the working environment, the people, it's very nice there. And because it was RBI's baby, so, you were constantly in touch with RBI over certain matters, and that was very helpful also.
So now I am coming to the students' question one by one. So Shalini Gupta is asking, did you also get an opportunity to get some international assignment working with RBI?
Well, you don't get international assignments per se unless you go on deputation. You opt for a World Bank or IMF. They advertise just as I went to NHB. So you have to apply for that. So if there is a vacancy arising there, they will send the ad to the Reserve Bank, and the Reserve Bank will put it on its website, and anybody can apply. So in that sense, no, I did not go abroad to work. But yes, there was a lot of foreign exposure that RBI gave in terms of training and conferences. So I remember my training was at the first training that I got, and I was AGM at that point of time. I was very happy to go to Manila, Asian Institute of Management, and there was a very nice 10 days program on management. And subsequently, RBI sent me to Kellogg's, and we did a wonderful program on finance there also. Apart from this, there were conferences in Washington. You were representing RBI in conferences. You were a guest speaker sometimes. Even in NHB, you got the chances.
Yes. Right. Even I worked hardly 6 years with RBI. I also got my first foreign visit. Thanks to RBI, I was sent for a training to Sri Lanka. It was on something cooperative banking. Because I was working in rural planning and credit department. So my first foreign visit outside Nepal, because Nepal I had traveled earlier also. So otherwise I went to abroad first from RBI side. So one student, yes sir.
Apart from getting training, you also get. RBI has the system of secondment. You can take 4 days and get yourself attached to the Central Bank of Thailand. You could study certain processes there. So those are the kind of exposures and inputs that you pick up on foreign trainings. So if you are there in Singapore, you could go to, I remember when I was in Singapore on some assignment, I was also I spent 2 days with the Singapore Monetary Authority. It was called MAS then, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And, you study their systems and you come back home with some knowledge. Maybe you can't always translate that, but yes, you have an opportunity to get exposed and come and share it with people, your seniors, who, if they like, they can always pick up.
Yeah, I think that Singapore currency management video we have, when I was in RBI, we have been shown that because they have done a lot of automation on currency management.
Very much
Yes.
so.
So one aspirant is asking, is it correct that RBI sends some officers outside for higher studies, say MBA or any specialist courses? I think he means to say about this Golden Jubilee scheme. So you can tell more about it, sir.
Again, RBI doesn't send. Send in the sense, yes, RBI will pay for it. But at the end of the day, you have to apply, you have to compete. It's not on a platter that it comes to you. You really got to work for it. You got to apply and clear some tests. And then there's, whether you from RBI itself, there may be 10 people applying to the post. So there's a round of interviews. You have to clear that. So once you are chosen, then RBI takes care of your passage fare and your accommodation. All that is paid for. And you can find a university of your choice. You can do an MBA. You can do any course that you think it would be public policy for that matter. So there are a lot of people who avail of this opportunity, and it's an open challenge for everyone to appear and get through that.
Yeah, right. One question I am taking, it is a different kind of question from Anish.
Yes.
He has asked, how competent is RBI compared to the other central bank of the world?
Oh, I wish I could ask this question to Anish himself and see his response. But Anish, I wonder why you have this doubt at all. I would say that RBI is one of the most competent central banks, and to its credit, not because I'm from RBI, so I'm praising it, but to RBI's credit, we have the best of people heading the institution. The best of people working in the board that we have. Seasoned people from industry, from academics, everywhere. And the kind of policy decisions over the years that RBI has taken, right from, nationalization to, with FERA, FEMA, liberalization. And RBI is one of the few central banks which has a lot of developmental role, which other central banks are not doing. So financial inclusion, for example, is not technically a part of a central bank. But RBI is doing that. When RBI has, it trains bankers. We used to, once upon a time, we had a bankers training college in Bombay, which is now closed. But you have other training institutions where RBI lends a lot of support.
Right.
So RBI's role is so varied, unlike most central banks. It is really competent enough to do the job, and not an easy job.
Right.
Despite what you may say, perhaps Anish's question stems from the kind of distress that is happening in the banking sector. But then you see also at the same time the way RBI bounces back and sees that the depositors' interests are always taken care of. Yes Bank being the latest example.
Yeah. So I think yes, it is a good question, and we can talk on this to a length, but serve the purpose here. Now he has taken another important question on which many people are interested. That is, what kind of skills we learn working with RBI, which are useful for working outside RBI, because nowadays the concept of lifetime employment is changing. So I myself is one of the person who quit RBI and has moved to other jobs. His question is, what we learn in RBI may be related to investment banking or maybe related to opportunities outside RBI.
Well, I think CP, you to answer this question. So after I answer, I would like you to add to it.
Okay.
But I would first say that attrition rate in RBI is still very, very low.
Yes.
So despite this culture of switching over to jobs, we have a very few, in terms of percentage, it's very small, negligible, I would say. when people leave RBI, so you have to be like CP Joshi to switch over, and see opportunities outside. But yes, you do learn whatever skills you acquire, never go waste. And it's not just RBI. Whether you work in a commercial bank and you switch over to RBI, you are carrying with you a set of knowledge and skills which are going to be translated into action here. They are going to be always very helpful. So I would say that if you are in RBI and at some point of time you find greener pastures, go ahead. Your skills that you've acquired here, depending on the department you work in, I would say that a lot of RBI people are poached, are tempted when they are working, to switch over. Yes. But because RBI itself is such a comfortable paymaster, good paymaster, good perks, good facilities, you really don't feel the need to kind of switch over unless you find that the job you are in is very boring, or your boss is very, not the best of person, or everybody doesn't have good experiences always. So you switch over and you find a better opportunity.
Yes. So because you asked me to add, so I can summarize. Within 6 years in RBI, even in first 2 years, I was in head office inspection of a bank. I was sitting across CMD of the bank and other general managers. So you can understand the kind of experience that RBI gives you. I was like 4 years in RBI. I was sitting in the board of 2 RRBs as a board member on behalf of RBI. So that is the kind of experience which comes once you are working with the central bank of the country. But it is up to you how you leverage that experience. And as Sir has said, most of the time we don't feel a need to really leave a job like RBI. So once you are there, then you will realize what is that. Okay. Right. Interesting point, sir. So, what people are asking, whether professional qualifications like cost accountant, chartered accountant provides better career opportunities in RBI, whether institution value these qualifications in terms of their placement within the RBI?
It depends. The RBI is not saying that you're going to get more marks because you are holding an X degree. They are looking for a person with a graduate degree, master's degree. You could be an engineer, you could be a science student, or you could be an art student, you could be a CA. But assuming that you are a CA and you get into RBI, it is also, again, not necessary that your background will be taken care of there. They will not post, oh, he's a CA, so let's, it's not like that. Yeah. It depends on vacancies, it depends on your center, and it depends on the need. If somebody is looking for a candidate with IT background, for example, we have a department of payment and settlement, we have a department of information technology, and there is a demand from the chief general manager that I want somebody with this background, and you were recruited perhaps for some time, but again, it's not a permanent thing. You may be there for some time and again moved out. Right. So it's like that.
So students, many students are writing for regulatory and developmental organization like RBI, NABARD and SEBI. Opportunities are there in 3. So these 3 people want you to compare what kind of exposure if we compare between RBI, SEBI and NABARD.
Well, honestly, I have not worked in SEBI and I have not worked in NABARD. So I really cannot compare in the true sense. But as a subjective input, we have interacted with NABARD also, and always RBI is in a position of seniority, irrespective of your rank. Sometimes, in the eyes of the government, for example, you go for a meeting, for example, and certainly a lot of respect is given to both NABARD and to RBI, but RBI a little more.
Right. So
that's one. The second point being that RBI has the advantage of posting, or you getting posted in the best of places, which are the state capitals. Today we have 30 centers, practically every other than Nagpur, Kanpur, and Cochin. The rest of them are all state capitals. So whereas once you are in NABARD as a grade B officer, if you are in a district, you maybe it's almost kind of a rural posting sometimes, and you are interacting with various kind of ground level functionaries. So you do pick up a lot of grassroots knowledge and reality, the situation as it is, when you are in NABARD.
Hmm.
You are on the field, so to say. You are soiling your hands.
Right.
You are sometimes, as people say, oh, you're sitting in an ivory tower and making decisions. That's the perception. But no, RBI, when we make decisions, when we issue circulars, there's always a lot of thinking and a lot of inputs we take from banks themselves. Before a circular is issued, how practical it is to have that kind of a policy, whether it will work or not. There are seasoned bankers, so we do take a lot of inputs. So that is the great challenge that RBI gives you, which is missing perhaps in NABARD. I'm not very sure of that. SEBI, sorry, I have absolutely no idea. SEBI, I have not worked in SEBI. So, but it's a very good regulator. It's a very good job from what I hear, the perception, and my friends in SEBI. It's equally good. So you have SEBI the regulator and RBI as regulator.
Yes,
good working. One of the
right. Bhaskar, I am merging actually two questions. One is by Bhaskar. He is asking whether the promotion happened by seniority or it is by merit. I think it is comparatively easier to answer. So here I am merging one more question, which is from Ashutosh. So what steps or what cautions one has to take while working with these kind of regulatory organizations so that they become successful in their career?
So taking the first question, which is on
Merit or
now you see
seniority.
from grade B to grade C, it is purely 6 to 7 years the whole batch gets promoted.
Yeah.
That's fairly easy. But once you become AGM, then to become DGM is climbing mountains. It's not easy anymore. In our days, it was an interview-based promotion. But today, as things stand, you have to appear for a written exam, and you have to appear for two interviews back to back.
Yes.
So you have to choose a subject that I'm going to be writing on X, Y, Z, whatever areas that they have given. They make groups of departments, and you choose your strength there. So that's the descriptive part. And then you have a tough exam, and there are all internal candidates, your batchmates competing with you. And then you appear for an interview with one set of people, you satisfy them, but no, that's not over. There's a second set of people waiting to pounce on you. So then it becomes tough, and it's ultimately it's a pyramid, So things get narrower and narrower as you go to the top. So you really have to prove yourself, your worth.
Right. So that way, actually, RBI has a very good system that it takes care of both. Seniority has points, and then you have to perform. You have to learn with time. Akash Pathak has brought up a point that in this post-COVID time,
There was one more question. You had merged with this.
Yeah. Right. Thank you for reminding, sir. So that is related to what are the things one has to take care for growing, for making a good career in these organizations.
Well, it's like any other organization. You have to be loyal, you have to be sincere, you have to be honest, you must be willing to learn, you must be willing to grow, never become complacent, whether it is RBI or SEBI or NABARD or any job, the moment you become complacent and get into a comfort zone, you are not going to rise.
Yeah.
That's the message I'm giving you.
Yes. Yeah. So I am taking Akash's point. So he is saying that in post-COVID time, most of the companies are promoting work from home. So as far as my knowledge, because I am also in touch with people, my batchmates especially. So I think most of the places RBI is also now working from home.
Yes, absolutely. All places, all centers, it is work from home. In central office and the senior most people, the executive directors, deputy governors, CGMs, they do visit their office once a week or twice a week, depending on the need. It's need based, but otherwise, you have meetings over Skype or something, and there is work from home. True.
So that is actually one thing about RBI, because RBI, though there are large number of employee in RBI, but because the total number of offices are less, so that way I feel it's a small family. living in the same colony, same quarters, knowing people so well. Uh, that way it takes care of the family members.
That is only regional offices, perhaps. Same colony, same. Because each regional office has one or two colonies at best. And there also they may be far apart. But in Bombay, as you know, in Mumbai, you have officers staying from Cuff Parade to Nariman Point to Prabha Devi to Santa Cruz, Goregaon, Malad, and lease flats all over, Lower Parel and stuff. So the family concept of what you're saying may not really work. But yes, you are within a community. You're lucky enough to be in the RBI colony, then you are in a community, yes. You're staying in a lease flat, the things will be different.
Right. So actually, some of the students are also helping us because questions related to payment, salary, facilities, I think most of these things are already known. So thanks Chaitanya and other people, those who are helping in answering these, because it is saving time for rest of the questions. So one interesting question was about overall work-life balance in RBI.
Yeah. So work-life balance is, up to you largely, though the organization is very demanding and it would expect you to put in 24/7, effort. In regional offices, life is more, there's more of work-life balance. So you go to the office in time and you come back maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes late after the office closes. But in Mumbai, for example, where the central office is there, it's very demanding and a lot of activity of work keeps going after office hours, and you're bound to be delayed and you reach home late. So despite the fact that the HRMD does believe in work-life balance, and the work is demanding, so you may not find it all that hunky-dory as far as work-life balance is concerned, because there is stress in Bombay when you're working in central office, certainly.
But I think that is there in all the responsible position, whether it is RBI or any other place. Whenever we have responsibility, we have to perform as per the call of the duty.
When I was in Raipur, for example, I used to think that, okay, now, office will close at 5:30. I should be home by 15 minutes time. But invariably, I was leaving office at 7 o'clock. And I used to wonder why, something wrong with the way we are working, because I did not want my staff to stay back. It was a smaller office. But traveling from my office to home itself used to take me about 20-25 minutes by car. And because it's a smaller office, you have less number of hands, so the work remains the same amount of meetings, the same amount of paperwork. So it tends to spill over after office hours.
Right. So a few questions you have already answered, like Shalini was asking how the promotions are done. So these are based on internal exams and also interview, and also seniority is counted in that. Nikunj, thanks for mentioning this point. We are happy to guide you more. You are from IIT, MSc Physics. So sir has already told that how other non-commerce, non-economics student can also do well in RBI. And one point is coming, which is I think very regular, about the postings. So how considerate RBI is about giving home posting, especially some girls candidate, they are interested knowing about it, whether RBI will be accommodating them posting at the place of their husband's posting.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. But home posting is a big no. Earlier, perhaps in our times, the girls were luckier; they would get home posting to begin with. But no, most of the direct recruits, the majority get posted to Bombay, Mumbai, as we say today, because the vacancies are there and there is a lot of demand there. And some lesser number of people get posted to regional offices. So it is very unlikely that you will get a home posting. Maybe in the neighboring state, but again, you have no say in the matter right now. It's your first job, first posting. Go wherever they send you. And as far as posting where the husband stays, see, if the husband is in RBI, then it's not an issue at all. Life is very comfortable. Husband and wife are moving together by and large. But if your husband is in a private sector job, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. I have my colleagues and good friends who also have risen to the level of chief general managers, but they have lived away from their families for years, because if they are going to be concentrating on their career, you have to make a sacrifice.
Yeah. So sir has mentioned a very interesting point. So the best option is in RBSC Chennai, you can find out a spouse, a future spouse, which happens in the training college. A very, very interesting experience of training college, 2 months induction program. So that is the best option which can work out. Now,
it should not be a marriage of convenience.
Yes, sir. Right. So some interesting question about the working in different departments, especially engineers. Some people are interested, say, working in payment and settlement department. So how it is, whether one has to be knowing about artificial intelligence or what kind of skill sets. RBI has recently announced about a special cadre for supervisory department. So many people have asked whether they can switch from journalist to specialist cadre, which was actually surprising for me also, because being a journalist, we have seen a different story inside the RBI. So if you can tell something more about this, sir, in different departments, what are the skills, what are the careers, DEPM, DEPR, DSIM versus journalist cadre?
Yeah. Interesting question. Yes. Firstly, whatever set of your background, academic background is only an entry point to make you qualify for appearing in the examination. Let's get this straight. So an engineer or an English or an agriculture or a science student, all of us come to the same point once we've cleared the exam. Then just because I have a MSc degree and you have a Ph.D. and he has an history, doesn't mean there's any discrimination there. It is your aptitude, it is your personality, and it is the number of vacancies where they are. So if there is a demand, for example, as a norm, the direct recruits get posted to issue department in the regional offices. So if you're posted to a regional office, be sure you're going to be posted to the issue department. At least for the first 1 year, till somebody else comes and relieves you, because it is a difficult post. It is perceived as a difficult posting because you are handling direct cash. You are in charge of the vault, all the balances in the vault, which run into crores and crores. You are working with a set of mazdurs who are on contract basis sometimes. You are in the basement vault. So your phone connectivity may not be there. There may be an intercom and all. So people are not very happy to work there sometimes. So normally a direct recruit officer at grade B gets posted in each department. If you are in central office, if you come to Bombay, chances are you can get into policy. Because now RBI has opened many new departments. And so if you have an IT degree and somebody spots you there, and says, okay, this kind of a person may be useful in this department, but you don't need to have any knowledge of artificial intelligence and all that. If you have, you learn, because when we started, for example, the Department of IT, they were not people with the professional degrees, but people learn on the job.
Right.
You are given good training. You are sent to the best of places in the country and the world to get trained, get exposed, learn, and come back and implement. That is the challenge.
Yeah. So in fact, I can also add a point here. I was an agriculture graduate, and in RBI, I learned Unix. I was a system administrator for a Unix server. So I got a very fantastic training. I was like so hands-on on Unix those days, though now I have forgotten a lot, but I never felt like I was not from engineering background. In fact, in office, people used to think that I am an IT engineer. So interesting point, sir.
If somebody asks about switching over, from general side to a specialist side, it's the other way around that happens. And the trend is that people who are in the specialized side, they like to switch over to the general side, because just accept you are in Depper or DISM, you are confined to one department of the bank. Whereas if you're on the general side, you are having a chance to work in 20 different kinds of departments, including DEPER and DISM, because sometimes they need genocide officers to man the administration. So it's not a technical job, but yes, you can be posted there. There are very few DEPER and DISM officers who are also sent to departments like, say, Foreign Exchange Department. So they but then that's very rare, Maybe in central office, you'll have one person from DEPER representing DEPER, and you will have one person in, depends on the demand a certain department puts up. Says that I think I need a person with a research background for a certain project in my department. So they will, post somebody there. But generally, you are working in the specialized people work in their departments only. And they can switch over to general side. I know of another cadre, which is the security officers cadre. People who join, normally you have short service commission officers from the Army, Navy, who join RBI as security officers. And then they find that this job is very different from the kind of job they were expecting. They appear for the genocide exam and switch over to genocide from security. That I've seen a lot.
Right. So I am taking, because there are still a lot of questions, and I am trying to rush to these questions so that I cover as much as I can accommodate in the session. So there are few UPSC aspirant like Supriya. So they are saying, can I prepare for UPSC? Because my main aim is UPSC, but if I write RBI exam also while I am doing this UPSC preparation, is it okay? Or how much extra I need to do it in this preparation? I think I can also answer. You can add that many candidates, those who are clearing RBI nowadays, are actually UPSC aspirant, and a lot of things what you study for UPSC helps you in writing the RBI exam, except some areas like finance where you have to add in the phase 2, and some portion in management. Maybe sir is not now remembering the syllabus, so I have added this from my side.
Very right. No.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, do you think then RBI is a flexible enough organization, and RBI will release the result of last year? Result is yet to come, because some of the interview in DEPER and DSIM are yet to be completed. So people are asking about how this recruitment happens. So are they sticking to this? First, they will have the result of last year, or they can start the recruitment process for next year?
No, I don't. I would be in a position to answer this question, because it depends on the circumstances within the bank. And DEPER and DISM are separate exams, so they are not linked to the general side, the results. If the last year's results are over, see, the priorities also change. Right now, recruitment is not such a critical issue for RBI or for any organization right now. We have to fight other fronts.
Right. So one student is asking, he failed in his graduation first year, and now if he attempts again and he gets more than 60% marks, will he be eligible? I think he will be eligible, sir.
Why not?
Yeah. All candidates are sent to RBSC after the selection. So
true. Yes, that's a very interesting place to be in. Your first exposure to RBI, the bonding, the batch bonding happens there, because the entire batch goes together for the induction training. You're staying in the hostel, and now the hostels are so good. When we joined the bank, it was more like a boys' hostel. You had a set of rooms for the boys on one side and one wing for the women. And in those days, the facilities were not so good in the hostel. Today, RBSC is excellent. It has a lovely auditorium, very good faculty, very good rooms, air-conditioned rooms you have, and good food. And the best place to meet your batchmates and your seniors and your faculty, get to know people, socialize within the organization. It really helps a lot.
Yes. So a lot of questions are there, so I am mixing, because that's why I am not telling all these names. So people are asking about the effect of their job experience. So somebody is having 6-year job experience in IT. Now he is concerned that whether RBI will take it negatively when he goes for the interview. Some people are feeling that they are fresher when they are going for the interview, whether that will be going against them. Some people come from a correspondence degree. So different kind of education qualification and work experience, how does it impact their selection?
Yeah. See, if you've cleared the written, then interview is only for 50 marks. If you've done well in your written and you get about 34 marks, 35 marks in the interview, very good chance. Then it doesn't matter. At the interview stage, your background doesn't matter whether you're from Delhi University or whether you're from Osmania or whether you're from Guru Tegh Bahadur University. That doesn't matter. It's your overall personality, your presentation, your responses that count. So you may have 6 years of experience in IT. It's okay. You have no experience. That is also okay with me. You're working with a startup. Still, that's okay with me.
Right.
Certainly, if you, for example, if you're working in a commercial bank, you have 3 years of experience in a commercial bank or 4 years experience, certainly RBI would see you as an asset that this guy is having an exposure to, what happens in RBI is that you get a chance to get commercial bank training, to go on commercial bank training. You opt, wherein you are attached to a commercial bank and you spend some 6 months with them. And then you have to do everything from the clerical job in a bank to a field posting in a rural center and managing the office. Everything is done as it happens in a commercial bank. They don't think, oh, you're from RBI, so you should be sitting on a ivory pillar or nothing of the kind. So when you already have this training, you will be an asset to the organization and you have good chances of getting posted in a department like supervision, regulation.
One question is again coming on the transfer, that how many years one can stay in, say, one state or one office, how frequently these transfers are done?
So it depends again on the center. You have major centers like Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, Bangalore, Ahmedabad. So we have 4 centers which are major, and then you have smaller centers. It depends where you are posted. For example, in a place, not in a small center like say Patna, Kanpur, Dehradun, or Jaipur, you would be there for a period of 3 years or so, ordinarily. In a place like Calcutta, Chennai, you could be for 5 years there. And if you come to Mumbai, you could be there for 10 years. In fact, once you start staying in Mumbai, the city grows on you so much that you don't leave Mumbai and go, because you feel now everything is settled here. You have a nice house, you have a good workplace, and your children are in school. You budget by which time you're settled. And then, so Mumbai is a long tenure also because the 2/3 of the bank is there. So obviously, it's not very easy once you come to Bombay to go out of Bombay. But there are request transfers sometimes. Bank does consider, for example, you've been posted to Mumbai you've been there for 5 years and you wish to go back to your, center closer to your home, if not your home itself. So based on an individual case, depending on your circumstances and the strength of your representation, bank is considerate enough. And they can post you. Sometimes they will say, okay, for a limited period of 2 years. Sometimes they can say you can go at your own cost. For example, it happens with many people who want to go back to the home center. They've already done one stint. They want to go back again for some reason, personal reason. So the bank does give a chance. Okay, you can go, but you bear the cost. Now that's your call. You decide.
But that way RBI is considering also. It means when the requests are very genuine.
Requests certainly, but if you come up with my parents are old and so I want to be with them. Everybody's parent is old by the time you are reaching a mid. You're 40.
Yes. Yeah. So I remember this statement also.
When you join the bank, your parents are fairly young, so that excuse doesn't work either way.
Yeah. So I remember this. So once HRMD CGM was saying this, everybody will come with some medical certificate, because old age some medical problem will definitely be there. So that way I think it's a very genuine consideration. So maybe last 1 or 2 questions. So one thing people are asking here is about is there any comparison whether people feel it is inferior to civil services officers in the working circle? So how RBI officers are say on par, or how it is if we compare in general working with civil servant?
I would say it's oranges with apples. There are 2 different services altogether with different backgrounds, different attitudes, different expectations, different responsibilities. banks. But having said that, the two organizations, say you are the civil service and the RBI, you do interact, and as RBI, you get a lot of respect from the civil services.
Yeah.
They do look upon your knowledge, your posting, your position, and because you are the regulator of the banking system there in a state in particular. When you are working in a state, they expect a lot of support from the government, expects a lot of support from RBI, as much as the banks expect a similar support when it comes to facing the wrath of the government. So in a meeting, you have to be a very balanced. I would say that from my experience, I was tilting towards the banks. I wasn't balanced.
Yes.
I always out of corner because the banks were always under fire for not meeting targets. And what were the targets? Not RBI targets, but state government targets.
Yeah.
Which is not, the only thing they would be doing. Because RBI had a lot of things to do. So when they were being fired by the chief secretary or somebody, I would really rise to the defense. That the banks have the limitation. At the same time, you will tell the government that yes, we will see. Having said that, we have to see the banks perform whatever has been told to them.
Right.
So
right, sir.
Yeah.
So same, because you have experienced that in the state level SLBC meeting. I was going for district level DCC and DLRC meetings where district magistrate used to conduct these meetings. So similar kind of experience. So most of the time actually then we have to come to supporting and rescuing the bank when lot of fire goes on that side, because there are some practical difficulties in these side also.
Right.
Very good point. So now I would like to close the session because a lot of questions are coming related to the exam preparation that we keep on answering in all our sessions. And if a student, you can write in the comment, because regarding the exam preparation, I would suggest me and the other faculty members of ixamBee, we will be able to answer these questions better, which book to read, which section to read, where to spend more time or less time. Maybe some other idea about the work-life balance, about the transfers, about the postings, about various department. We have discussed with Dr. Sharma today, which has been, I think, very, very helpful for you to understand more about the career of a RBI Grade B officer. Sir, from your side, if you want to add anything, any passing remarks, closing remarks for candidates, those who aspire to become RBI Grade B officer?
If they're keen on joining RBI, they should study hard and get into it. It's one of the best places to work in. It has the best of government and corporate put together. The kind of work culture, the kind of exposure, the kind of integrity the organization has. Certainly one of the best jobs that you can get. All the very best for the job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your valuable suggestions, because these kinds of guidelines or these kind of exposure about RBI job is not available anywhere. So these are very, very helpful for the candidate, those who are preparing for these exams. And thank you for everyone for watching this session. You have any more questions, please write in the comment. We will keep on answering so that we can help you knowing more about RBI and the career opportunities. Thank you everyone once again.
Thank you.